Why has his government prioritised pay increases of up to 80% for board directors, whilst offering school teachers a pay increase of only 1%, less than the rate of inflation, and effectively a pay cut?
Well, they're two separate issues. One is we need to make sure when we're spending a huge amount of government spending that our entities are well governed and well managed. And so that is about what director pay has been adjusted for. With respect to the second leg of the question around teacher pay, I think he has the numbers wrong.
Supplementary question. Is he really in a position to say that other people have got their numbers wrong when it comes to school teachers' pay?
Well, I certainly would think that member is not in a position to say he's got numbers wrong. He is the $66 billion man that doesn't know the cost of the debt that he ran up. He doesn't know the cost of the ferry projects. He doesn't know the cost of the Dunedin Hospital project or the debt that was run up under KO.
Supplementary question. Why did his government prioritise a $3 billion tax cut for landlords whilst cutting funding for emergency housing and increasing the number of people who are living homeless on the streets?
Well, because we actually want people out of motels. And as the member would understand, in his time of government, homelessness went up 34%, despite spending $1 billion on emergency housing. We have got good management, good ministers, they've done the work, and they've managed to get families with kids into warm, dry homes. That's a good thing. I'd hope that member would celebrate that.
Supplementary. Why did his government prioritise a $300 million tax cut for tobacco companies, whilst his government is allowing the cost of visiting a doctor to nudge closer to $100?
A point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, no one should be allowed to get up in this House, put out a shibboleth and base the question on that. How on earth can a $300 million tax cut, and it wasn't, it was beyond it was $200 million, how could that, if the tax cut came from a reduction in the sale of cigarettes and tobacco, and a reduction in the sales was a reduction in the tariffs go to the government, amount to what he's just claimed to be at the beginning of his question? And they've done it for the umpteenth time.
Yes, and it is true that assertions like that should not be made in questions. Equally, though, if that is the case, then I think the answer the Prime Minister gives would certainly be able to rebuff any inappropriate suggestion.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order.
My question was interrupted in the middle. Can I ask the question so that the Prime Minister can actually know what the question is?
Let me put it this way: if you're going to ask the question again, ask it within the confines of standing orders. So,
it is.
No, you made an assertion that was not in the nature of a question. I'm sure you can work that out.
Why did the government change the tax rules around tobacco, resulting in the government taking $300 million less in revenue, whilst allowing the cost of visiting a doctor to nudge closer to $100 for everyday Kiwi families trying to stay healthy?
Well, again, it's not surprising to me the member doesn't understand the difference between a contingency put aside for a loss of excise revenue and tax. That they are two quite different things. With respect to the second leg of the question, that is why this government's spending a huge amount, is spending more than any previous government in the history of New Zealand into healthcare. $17 billion extra last year, 7% more this year, and expanding urgent care and more primary care for people to be able to see their GPs in a much quicker fashion.
Why did his government prioritise funding for his failed family boost policy, which has resulted in not one single family receiving the full $250 a fortnight he promised them, whilst cutting entitlements to free early childhood education that would have benefited tens of thousands of Kiwi families?
Well, look, I thank the member for his regular questions on Family Boost, because we want to tell as many New Zealanders as possible to jump on myird.gov.nz. And with our expanded settings, we think there'll be another 22,000 families that will be entitled to Family Boost support, and that is a good thing for low and middle income working New Zealanders.
Supplementary question. Why did his government prioritise over $500 million in tax breaks for multinational tech companies like Google and Facebook?
Oh, sorry, was there a point of order?
Oh, it's a question.
Okay, my apologies. I didn't see that the member rose. We'll continue with that, and then I'll come to the member.
Why did his government prioritise over $500 million in tax breaks for multinational tech companies like Google and Facebook, whilst 72,000 Kiwis have given up on his leadership and left the country in the past year, the highest since 2012?
Again, I'd say to the member, we are wanting to grow this economy, and one of the ways we do that is we make sure that we get more innovation technology into this country so we can create high-paying jobs for New Zealanders into the future. That's why this government has a great economic plan about building our education, making sure we embrace more science, technology, innovation, modern, reliable infrastructure, get rid of the red tape and the bureaucracy, and more trade and investment. If we can do that, we will lift collective living standards and raise the wages and incomes of all New Zealanders.